Oh. Well, first, if I sound funny, it's because I'm trying to get over this cold my little petri dish brought home from school. And as her grandparents can attest to, it can get a little rough. But the reason I'm doing this video is because I've noticed that a video I posted a couple years ago about Kings Camo was starting to get hits again, which I thought was weird. But that video was way out of date, so I thought I'd redo it. What I'm going to talk about first is not Kings Camo in specific, but hunting camo in general. Now, obvious disclaimers, these are all my thoughts, my opinions from my own experiences. Other people may think differently, that's fine. But in my opinion, and I know this is hypocritical coming from me, you really don't need fancy hunting clothes, okay? For several years, when I first started hunting, this is what I wore. A pair of BDU pants and a red flannel shirt. It's, you know, hunters have been rocking red flannel for years, long before camo. And for a rifle season, that works just fine. It's actually better if you're worried about some idiot, you know, popping off some round in your direction. And it's worth mentioning that when I got my first elk, I was actually wearing this and probably these very pants right here. No fancy camo. There are people out there who are serious turkey hunters, and you'll find them in a pair of faded BDU pants. So you really don't need to buy real fancy hunting clothes. That said, there is a time where you might want to think about upgrading your clothes, and it has less to do with the camo pattern and more about what those clothes are made out of. Now, for years, you know, just you know, poly nylon, cold medicine pants like this, you know, wore those for years. What really got me to change into, we'll call it technical hunting clothes, is that I think I was out coyote hunting. I'm not sure. That's what I think I was doing. But I got caught in a little bit of a mountain storm, and I'll roll a clip in here. And I wasn't really prepared for that, because what I found myself in a situation where it was the pants I was wearing, which I think were these, were soaked. And I was in a position where I had to keep moving. I could not stop. I had to keep moving to keep my body heat going. Otherwise, I probably was risking hypothermia. And that was that. And when I really got into hunting is when I decided to upgrade my hunting clothes. Now, if you're hunting 1 or 2 weekends out of the year and that's it, this is fine. I mean, if you're just a 1 or 2 weekend warrior out of the year, that is really all you need. Unless you really want to go out and spend a lot of money on hunting clothes, because hunting has gotten really expensive. But the real reason to upgrade hunting clothes for me was I found myself being out in the mountains a lot more, not just 1 or 2 weekends out of the year, but half the year. Between scouting and actual hunting trips, I started going out more and more and more and more. And once I got to that point and I realized that what I was wearing wasn't exactly the greatest, that's when I upgraded. And it was really all about weight, wicking, and warmth. You know, when I was still into doing just rifle season. I used to see guys out there, you know, wearing blaze orange and camo hunting clothes, and I thought, well, what's the point of that? I mean, you're wearing blaze orange anyway, so what's the point of the camo? The camo pattern had nothing to do with it. It was all about what those clothes are made out of, and I'm going to reiterate it again. Weight, wicking, and warmth. That's the main reason you switch to those, with a minor footnote on scent control, and I might get to that later in the video. Yeah, now, I have to make a note here. If you go out and buy all Sitka clothing, first of all, don't do it. Sitka is like twice as much money as you're going to pay for other hunting clothes. And second of all, I don't know about other guys, but when I see someone rocking Sitka, I know my opinion doesn't mean diddly squat, but when I see someone rocking all Sitka, I'm judging you. Yeah, I am. Because I got you figured for one of two things. You're either a yuppie who has been watching Randy Newberg and Elk 101 on YouTube. I admit I watch it myself. They're fun to watch. But if I see Sitka, you're either a yuppie who's just getting into hunting, has been watching a lot of stuff on YouTube, or you're a lot more hardcore than I am. And if I see someone wearing Sitka, the next thing I'm looking at is their boots. And if your boots aren't looking something like these, I'm going to have you pegged for a yuppie. Just saying. Because I'll admit that the Sitka camo pattern is cool as hell, but it's just ridiculously expensive, so don't buy it. Now, over the last 4 or 5 years, I've acquired a lot of hunting clothes. I'm only going to cover the stuff that I actually wear, to give you an idea or baseline of if you're in the market to look for some of the stuff that's probably the bare minimum that you're going to need. Most of this stuff here, you can't buy anymore. They have a newer version or a newer model. I wait till stuff goes on sale on clearance, and then I buy. Camo companies are always coming out with some new whiz-bang pattern, and when they do, all their old stuff goes on clearance. You know, they out with the old and busted, and in with the new hotness. Don't buy into the hype as camo patterns go. I mean, my personal opinion, all a camo pattern needs to do is match the color palette of the environment you're in and break up your outline. That's it. That's all they need to do. Everything else is just to look cool. Now, as camo patterns go, I don't think there is a one-size-fits-all because, well, we have this thing called seasons. You know, spring, summer, fall, winter. Late season hunting, October through November and December and maybe into January, this is what I'll wear. This pattern. Up until the first week of May. After the first week of May, when you really have spring green out, then I'll switch to this pattern. And I'll wear this pattern for the remainder of turkey season. And then when I get to summer scouting, I switch to this. I've actually gotten a pretty good, I've gotten pretty close to some muleys with just this, which proves you don't need camo pattern. But I like to go out and scout a lot. But that's when a lot of the recreationalists, or as I like to call them, tourists, are out in the mountains. So I kind of dress down a little bit, or maybe this is dressing up, I don't know. Mainly so I don't scare the tourists. Something about a bearded dude in camo with a handgun hanging on kind of scares people. I can't imagine why. Whatever. And then up into archery. And then once we get into archery, I'll switch back into this pattern, Mountain Shadow. And then if I get a muley tag in September, I'll still be in this. But once we hit October and the fall is hitting, I'm back into this. All right, I'll just cover what I usually wear October, November, December, January, February, April, and first week of May. Now, if you had to get one system, if you're going to limit yourself to one system, I think this would be it. This camo pattern here, it's the most universal in my area. If you live in the Rocky Mountains or the Intermountain West, I find that this pattern is the most adaptable. It's not perfect though. There are some times when it's a little bit bright or shiny, especially in deep timber. I'll throw a picture of that. But these here they're what Kings Camo calls the Preacher Pants. They vent. I have yet to feel a need to put on a base layer with those pants on. If you're wearing gaiters, and these do a good job of keeping your legs warm and keeping the water out, but I have yet to feel the need for any type of merino wool long johns with these pants. And this is the kind of material that they're made out of. I don't know what type of fabric it is, but it seems to do a very good job of retaining heat. It also dries out fairly quickly if you get it wet. Now these here are Kings Camo Ridge Pants. I got these last year and I didn't even wear them. But I have those because I got them on sale with the idea of this being the one system to wear all year. If you know, you're limiting your joy of camo to one thing. Now this base layer, this works out pretty well year round. It breathes and it wicks fairly well. I don't really have any complaints about it. It does have these little holes in it that allow it to breathe, really. Now, I think they have a Preacher Pant 2.0 that they're selling now. This is 1.0. They still sell these. They still sell these. These gloves actually worked out better than I thought they would. They're kind of like a waffle insulation on one side. So it has that kind of a waffle on one side, and it seems like it's the same material that they make their pants out of on the other. Kind of like a grid pattern. I find that with these, my hands will stay warm enough. And sweat or whatever, they don't make it too hard to get on and off. Late season, like that hike I just did not too long ago, or when I got my late season catwalk, I was just wearing this and this right here, and I was fine. It breathes fairly well, maintains core body temperature fairly well, but you know it breathes because every once in a while you'll get one of those cold breezes that come through, and I can feel it through the clothing. But for the most part, it's no complaints. For an insulating layer, I got this vest on sale. I wanted the whole puffy, but this is what was on sale. So sometimes I'll run this vest with just that right there, the base layer. Sometimes I'll put this on top. It's adaptable. It's also lightweight and really packable. And this right here I picked up, I don't know, a year or two ago. They call it the Guy's Choice Storm Fleece. I don't really have too many complaints about it. I wish this vent was a little bit bigger. Like maybe run up the armpit a bit more. Sometimes I wore just this coat with the base layer, and sometimes I wore it over this. It just depends on what I needed at the time. It maintains your temperature fairly well. It seems like it breathes, though it will retain more moisture than you think. So when you take it off, you don't realize how wet it is underneath. So when you get back to camp, you'd have to turn that thing inside out, let it dry. It seems like it wicks, but it still has a lot of built-up perspiration on the inside of it. Hiking up the mountain, it didn't really bother me at all, though. While I am thinking about it, I want to mention that if you do buy from Kings Camo, pay close attention to their sizing charts, because not all of their pants are sized the same. And, well, at least it's not made in China. But I'm 5'10". I about 170, 75 pounds, sometimes 165. But in the Preacher Pant, at least the 1.0 version of it, I'm wearing a size 32, and then with the Ridge Pant, I'm in a size 34. So be aware, the sizing is different on different pants. All right, let's talk archery season. Depending on how hot it gets, the gaiters might be coming off. I usually wear gaiters in general just to keep the sticks and crap out of my pants so that I don't drag them into the sack with me. Archery season is a time when I usually backpack. So I sleep in my clothes, pretty much. Now, I don't think these, just an overview. Now, I don't think they make these pants anymore. You'd have to get the Ridge Pants, and I don't even think they make Ridge Pants in this pattern anymore. But these were their Mesa pants. These have been fairly nice during summer, during archery season, but they're sized differently in a size range. Fairly lightweight, fairly strong, but no point in talking anymore about it since you can't really buy them anymore. I think they have a Hunter Pant 2.0 that might be similar to these. They're Elevation quarter zip, same as the other one, just different pattern. That, same, just different pattern. I buy stuff on sale. This is, I forget what coat this is called. But this is one of the better coats, and I wear this mainly as a outer shell to block wind, to keep warm if I have to, but also as a rain layer, because I'm trying to minimize the amount of clothing I'm bringing with me. So this serves two purposes, as both a raincoat, but also as an outer shell to block wind. Okay, honorable mentions in the Mountain Shadow lineup are these Preacher 1.0 pants. These things typically only get used maybe sometimes during turkey season, but primarily during deer muzzleloader season, which is usually for me last week of September, first week of October, along with this pullover. I really like this pullover, but unfortunately they just don't make these anymore. I mean, these are really well designed, but that's usually the only time this gets used. During that time frame, I usually find myself in some deep timber, and that works out a bit better. All right, let's talk about gaiters. I've learned the hard way that you really, aside from maybe turkey season, you don't really need matching gaiters. Now, with Kings Camo gaiters, what I like about them is that they do keep the water out. They do keep stickers and stuff out of your boots. And they will keep your legs warm when it's cold. Or they will contribute to that. What I don't like about them is that this snap right here in the front, that is a pain in the butt. In the morning when you're trying to get your gaiters on, trying to get that snap to snap, I hate it. I end up messing with these gaiters for like 5 minutes before I get it just right. The other thing is they're kind of like a tube. Mainly in the shape of a tube. I don't know. They got to break them in kind of. The other thing I don't like about them is when you wash these things, you better make sure the Velcro is zipped all the way up, because what's going to happen is when I wash these, this inner liner started to pull up a little bit, started to separate, like right there maybe. So these are delaminating. So when you wash these things, you got to be really careful to make sure that Velcro is completely fastened, because what happens is this Velcro gets stuck on the inner side of it, and then it will start to separate after it's been pulling on it too much. I knew about Peaks outdoor gear. You've probably seen them on Elk 101. But I didn't like black gaiters. They recently came out with a pair of OD green gaiters, and I scarfed up a pair. Scooped up, scarfed up, whatever. A pair right away. And I like these because I don't have to mess with that frickin' snap every morning, which ticks me off. And they seem to be shaped better, which makes them easier to put on in the morning. So, running two separate systems, my recommendation is just go and get a pair of OD Green Peaks and call it good. On the subject of washing, you can go this route, and I obviously have. I'll use that sometimes. And sometimes I'll just do this. You don't really have to buy this. You can get by mixing like a 50-50 mix of baking soda and borax. I like to wash mine machine wash cold, inside out, and then I'll hang dry them. I guess that leads me into the subject of scent control. That is a topic of debate amongst some people. This is just my personal opinion, and I think it's all in how you phrase it. Now, scent control, your personal scent, no matter what, you're always going to smell like a human. You will never eliminate your scent. You can reduce your scent, I think. You can't really mask it, but you can reduce it so you smell less pungent to the deer or elk, which may or may not allow you to get closer to them, but no matter what, they're still going to smell you. This, and understanding how winds work, will get you a lot further than fancy smells. You're not going to mask your scent. They got scents out there that make you smell like deer urine, or I don't know. I'm not a deer hunter per se, but there's a lot of masking scents out there, and I don't think they work. You're just gonna smell like a dirty human, really. But you can eliminate scents from your clothing, which helps reduce your overall scent. Which is why I'll use baking soda and borax, because those eliminate scent. Now, as scent control goes, now you delve into personal hygiene. I will actually use like scent removing or scent reducing body wash before I go out, and I'll use a scentless deodorant, but that's about it. I'm not going to sit there and spray that scent eliminator all over my stuff. I don't think it really works. The only thing that really works is not using smell goods, anything that would make you smell good that you wear in the city, and trying to reduce your scent, but you're never going to eliminate it. Anyway, this is probably the last equipment-related video I'm going to do for the remainder of the year. The rest of the time I'm just going to focus on scouting and hunting and the garden. So that's it for now. You have a good one.